Hello and welcome back to the Art to Marissa podcast, where we meet and have real conversations with spiritual leaders sharing our own personal stories of growth and development for collective and expansion, and hoping that they touch you through your own spiritual awakenings. Today, we are anchoring in with such an incredible human who you may remember from a few episodes back, where she shared the wisdom on self-honoring, living life as a source of inspiration, authenticity, the art of surrender, and how to alchemize your breakdowns into breakthroughs. Welcome back to the ETM podcast, Jourdan Rystrom, the soul-stirring singer-songwriter, visionary artist, devoted mother, transformational coach, and overall just light of the world. How you doing?
Aw, you're so sweet. Thank you. I'm so glad to be back.
Yes, and the hearts show it. Yes. I'm
Oh
so
my God.
happy to have you on, and we could just talk for hours, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm
Most
like,
times.
okay, how many episodes are we gonna do today?
No, for real. I feel like we've already planned out like at least two more episodes
Yeah.
after this one. So I hope y'all love Jourdan as much as I do, because she's gonna be back and just bringing so much wisdom. Like I said, go check out that last episode if you haven't seen it already.
Yes.
It was so very powerful. It was our first really like full on conversation
Yeah.
together, and it
It
was
was our first
magical.
time meeting, and I
Mm-hmm.
felt so alive and activated. And I'm like, okay, Insta Soul Sisters, Insta Biffs, BFFs, like,
Yes, for real. Yes, and we realized too that we are both like Nordic queens, Nordic
yes.
goddesses, which is so funny. She was like, "What heritage are you? Like, you look familiar."
I'm like, we look the same. Like,
No,
you just have
for real.
hair and I don't.
Literally. I showed the picture to my boyfriend. He's like, "Oh my God, like you guys are very similar." Which I love that. I love that.
And then
Um,
your boyfriend's name is my son's name. So it's like we have
yes,
so many connections.
yeah, little synchronicities. And I
I
feel
love
like
it.
that's how you know like you met someone that you it was a divine meeting, a karmic
Hmm.
meeting. It's like there's so many little
Yeah.
overlaps and
All the golden
connections.
threads, they like thread
Yes.
together and then you feel like home. And it's like when you
Yeah.
talk, it's like, okay, this is like one of my spirit buddies, you know? We're doing
Hmm.
life together. We're
Many
swimming through the
lifetimes.
cosmos and we're grounded here as humans and we get to celebrate it and share together.
Exactly. And I can't wait too, because you're gonna share your beautiful voice with us today. And before
Yes.
we dive into that, I want to hear about any affirmations that you're working with.
Oh,
I
yes.
know,
Yes,
putting you
yes,
on the spot.
yes. Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, yeah, I just got back from Costa Rica. I think in
Yes.
our last episode I was just gonna go. So now I've got the
Mm-hmm.
Costa Rica codes.
Yes.
I wore some of my jewelry
Oh,
today if you're
so
listening on, or
pretty.
watching the
Yes.
podcast. Made by local artists there. It was so beautiful. And I just got to really relax and let go and just notice. You know, I feel like when you go on retreat, you always notice the mind more, right? Because it's like,
Oh,
wait, all my
absolutely.
meals are taken care of. All my, like, everything's taken care of for me, and I don't have all the outside noise or the typical, you know, in high demand needs of like motherhood, for example, because it was a solo trip. And it's like, okay, now I'm with my mind, and now I'm with my emotional body and my physiological body, and I've got my aura ring measuring like, am I feeling stressed while in paradise? Like, it was so
Mm-hmm.
interesting to like recalibrate all of these things, and I got to just really sit with myself and remind myself that like I'm perfect exactly as I am. Like, and when we allow ourselves to fully accept where we are right here, right now, in whatever mess or whatever magic we're currently in. And oftentimes there's usually a conglomeration of both, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be this or this, it's often this and this, right? Joy
Yes.
and grief at the same time. We can hold it both, right? Mess and magic. I just got to really be like, Jourdan, you're okay. Like, yes, you can have these stressors happening. Yes, you can have, you know, nightmares at night as you're recalibrating sleeping solo for 7 days. Like,
Mm.
but and instead of but, it's like, yes, you can have this. Yes, you can have this. Yes, you can be like afraid of being late to every activity because there's timed activities. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't do well with that. I like my flexibility as an entrepreneur. Like having this
literally.
whole day timed out is not my thing. But like I got to sit with all of that and still say, I love you, Jourdan. I accept you. Like, I
Mm.
accept you even if you're 5 minutes late to everything. And you can have that conversation with the leader and let her know like you're doing the very best that you can. And, it's like this, and I still love myself. And I still am open to fully accept myself. And so I think for me, along with the process of surrender, what I encourage everyone to start doing more of is saying like, yes, I may have this going on right now. Yes, I may have a lot of shadows that I'm working through, or yes, I may have stuff I've got going on in the 3D realm or the 5D realm or somewhere in between, right? It's like,
Mhm.
yes, I've got this going on, and I still choose to open my heart and be willing to give myself that amazing grace.
Mm.
Be willing to give myself that love and that care that I would give
Yes.
a child. Because at the
Mhm.
end of the day, that is us.
Yes. Yes. And that is so
Right.
resonant too, because I totally, I am like 10 minutes late, no matter what it is, all the time. I told my manager at work, I was like, I'm sorry, like,
Yeah.
know that I show up and I'm consistent in showing up. I'm not
Yeah.
someone to call in. However, I will be 5 minutes late
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
most likely all of my shifts. And like that is just like I try to plan around it and I just get so busy, and
Yeah.
but sometimes I used to like be so hard on myself.
Hmm.
So hard on
Hmm.
myself, but then my coworkers are coming in and they're like, "Oh my gosh, so sorry." And I'm like, "No
Yeah.
biggie." Like no biggie. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
totally fine. Like life happens. And yeah, I had that moment where it's like, why don't I tell myself that? Like why
Exactly.
don't I just accept that this is who I am and that there's nothing wrong with that. We are feminine bodied creatures. We aren't
Yeah.
meant to just like be these timely machines. And
Yeah. And if it really bothers someone, like trust also in ourselves that we can have that conversation and we can be
absolutely.
honest and open and keep doing the work. But to shame ourselves
Yeah.
into change is never going to be uh, a healthy way to do it. And
No.
honestly, it only will create, as a hypnotherapist and coach, working with people who have shamed themselves for decades, that only hurts you on the inside. It only poisons you more internally. So
Mhm.
I always say, like, we can't heal from guilt and shame. Guilt, shame, and self blame, that's just a spiral that will take us down,
Mm.
and it will cause more maladaptive coping mechanisms to come out than just running 5 minutes late. Not.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, giving ourselves that grace, but also practicing giving others that grace too, right? It's like
Mhm.
that golden rule, like treat others how we would want to be treated. And so it's like, how
Yes.
can you treat your inner child how your adult self wants to be treated too?
And I feel like this goes into something that's recently come up for both of us is that like we might get into it later or we could dive into it now. The
Yeah.
victim mentality and resentment and
Yeah.
how resentment towards self, I mean,
Yeah.
resentment in general, poison,
Yeah.
but I think oftentimes when we look at resentment, we think of like another person involved, but there are so many
Mm,
times where we hold resentment towards ourselves and you
yeah.
might not even know that you're doing that. Or this
Yeah.
like ill image of self. Recently, I had a moment where there was this kind of competitive nature that came up with me and two of my friends who are both
Yeah.
content creators. One just started a podcast, and at first I was like, that's my thing. Like,
Oh,
wait,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what?
Totally.
And I had that come up, but like it passed. But basically, the medicine from that mess, which I love that you
Hmm.
said that, mess and medicine, joy
Hmm.
and grief, it gets to be both. Like, we are
Yeah.
multifaceted. The medicine from that was, oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever told myself that I believe in me
Mm.
because I was feeling this fear about these other powerful, beautiful women. Like I surround
Yeah.
myself with powerhouses, right? So like when
Yeah.
they start something, I'm like, "Oh, world get ready. Like it's going to pop off
Yeah.
and it's going to be amazing." And
Yeah.
that scared me that scared me because then
Mm,
it's like, where's my stuff gonna lie? Where is my
yeah.
content, gonna end up if
Yeah.
they start something that's so good, And it's like,
Mm,
holy cow, I had never told myself that I believe in you. Like I've been holding resentment, like you're not good enough. You need to
yeah.
show up in these ways and blah blah
And
blah.
yeah,
And
it's diving into like where does there's that aspect of like where does that come from, and like
mhm,
unraveling the sweaters, taking off the layers of programming and society and whatever you took on to believe about yourself. But then
exactly.
it's also acknowledging the scarcity mentality that comes from, which
Yes.
is like it's almost like you're thinking that there's this one pie, there's only eight
Mhm.
slices of pie, and if they have these seven slices, or maybe this last person starting their podcast is the eighth slice and now there's no pie left for you. It's believing that instead of believing that every single one of us has a full pie and
Yes.
there's more than enough to go around and we can share from the overflow. And it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, where are you believing deep down that your words aren't perfect magic and medicine for the people that need it? And then that's also, where are you not trusting in God, in spirit and source? Where are you not trusting there that your perfect listeners are going to find you? That's like
Mhm.
the surrender aspect of it too, of like, where are we
Yes.
not trusting in God? Where are we saying like, I have to do this all alone, and like and then we get stuck in the mind of
Mhm.
lack of self-belief, and then that just, I mean, we all know that's like the monkey that has the cymbals.
And over and over and over again. Yeah, yeah. It is. It turns into these like vicious little loops that just
Yeah.
occur, and then it's like in one part of your life, and then like when you start
Yep.
diving, it's like actually over here, and then you're like, oh God, it's even in this realm.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did this end up
Yes.
everywhere? But
Yes.
lack is scary. Like it's sneaky like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
sneaky like that. And two, another beautiful piece that came through that was community, right? Like community, when we rise or help raise each other up,
Mm-hmm.
then all of us get that piece of the
Yeah.
pie, or yeah, all
Yes.
of us have,
Yes.
yeah, the pie. And it's like, I we brought it back to like we loved watching YouTubers that would have in videos with other YouTubers and then have this like
Yes.
little community, and it was like
Yeah.
so fun growing up having that. And it's like,
Mhm.
why don't we create that now, right? Like we
Right.
get to be those people,
Yeah.
and when one person wins, we're all winning.
We get to be those people for each other, and now you get to be on their podcast as a guest and vice
Mm-hmm.
versa. And like, what do they say, the rising boat lifts all tides or something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
I forget.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like, how can we yeah, expand the possibility? And also, when we look at someone doing something that secretly we want, it's actually funny. What was it? This came up. I had a couple cards I drew today. The qualities I dislike in others
Mm.
are disowned parts of my shadow. So it's like,
Wow.
where are we still afraid to shine? Where are we
Yes.
still afraid to be the lighthouse and go all in on
Mhm.
ourselves, and not only trust the process but give up the results to God? Because that's what we have to do. It's like you said, showing up every day, or showing up for your podcast, for example, like specific example, like showing up every month, showing up every, bi-weekly or however many episodes you launch, showing up and trusting the process no matter what the result looks like right now to our human mind, but
Mhm.
trusting that it's going to, like, again, the commitment, the surrender to the commitment is actually what's going to bring you all the magic, all the miracles, all the money, all the, all the things eventually. But it's almost that divine test of like, do you trust me? Do you trust me more? Do you trust me? Right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that even comes into like the receiving, because it's
Mhm.
easy to think that like yes, we have to do this all on our own, and we have to
Yeah.
try to like, what can I do, like how many things can I post? I'm posting like 3 times a day on TikTok, like
Yeah.
all this other crap. But I think, yeah, that doesn't leave room for like
Mm.
there are greater powers at work. And so I'm loving this reminder that's coming through you of like it really isn't just yourself, like this is being divinely placed in so many people's
Yes.
lives right now, and
Yes.
then it just ripples, and it's like boiling
Yes.
water, right? Like it might take a while, but
Yeah.
once it goes, it roars.
And how does it feel to believe that instead of the other?
So much better, so much more expansive. I'm getting
Yeah.
like body chills. I'm sure you're seeing me over here. I'm like, like just vibrating.
Yeah, it's like, and that's where it's like we have to reframe our mind too, because our perspective creates our reality, and then our reality keeps showing up and either slapping us in the ass or lifting us up and, letting us be the lighthouse that shines, right? So it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, that's such a beautiful reminder. I love it,
Yeah.
and I'm here for it, and I believe in you. Just, again, because we're speaking about that personal story, it's like I so believe in you, and
Thank you.
I just want to invite you to open up to even more opportunities. Like open up to things that your brain cannot even fathom, things that your human can't even fathom right now, just by showing up. What if the test was actually just by showing up for this podcast, Spirit had a totally different plan for you, with an opportunity that literally is like a once in a lifetime opportunity that comes in because one person, one producer, one whatever, I don't even know what it is, but it's like things we can't even fathom, listen to this, and then they found you, and then they want you to have like your own talk show on NBC, or like who, like not that that's your goal, but you know what I'm saying, like you never know.
Yeah.
You never know what opportunities God has planned for us that we
Mhm.
cannot see. But it's that internal little, like, I don't want to say the word test, but it's like that internal, like, can you show up for yourself? Can you believe in
Yes.
yourself? Can you continue to unravel the work needed to be your highest and greatest, most expansive self? Because trust that you're a light worker. Trust that you're meant for something bigger. Trust that
Mhm.
magic and miracles, you see them available to all of them. They're available to you too. You just have to be open to claim it.
Yes. Yes. I claim that right now.
Woo!
I claim it right now.
I claim
Claiming
it
it.
too. I'm
Anything
claiming
is
it.
possible. Limitless potential codes everywhere. Oh my gosh.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
yes, yes.
Whew. I'm gonna have to listen to that back like 5 times. Just
Yes,
oh
yes.
my
The
gosh.
codes, the codes. Every
Wow.
breath of possibility, baby. Yes.
For real. Yeah. I that reminder of just one step leads to the next, one step leads to the next,
Yeah.
and yeah, we truly have no idea how it's gonna show up. And I have another quick thing to share with you
Yeah.
because I think
Yeah.
it's really funny. So this happened to me recently, and I think it's so funny because from a young age, I knew I was going to be famous on YouTube. Like that was my goal. Like I went to film school because of YouTube.
Wow.
And I had a YouTube originally that I started in like 2014, and then I kind of just removed some of those videos and made it into my portfolio for like film school stuff. And
Okay.
so it's like all the videos I did in film school, everything. That's been sitting there for probably like 7+ years, just hanging out. I Aiden and I were talking recently, and I was like, "Oh, I should show you this music video that I did in college."
Yeah.
Go to that YouTube, and I was like, "Oh my God, why do I have like 6,000 followers? 6,000 subscribers?" I
Yeah.
was like, "That's kind of weird." And then I showed him the video, and then I was looking for another video, and he's like, "Wait, go back." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Did that just say 3 million?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And one of the videos on that YouTube channel has 3 million views.
Wow.
And I
So,
was like, what?
so babe, look at that. You're already famous, but you didn't believe you were. So you see how it's like it's
It's so
literally all
strange.
of our own creation.
Yes. And this is like literally like this is something that I've been striving for just in like on my other spiritual YouTube, right? And this is
Yeah.
like just like but it's so funny, yeah, that it just showed
Yeah.
up and I already had
Yeah.
it and I
Yeah.
didn't even know.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I'm saying like our brain blocks us, because like what if you knew that this whole time? Wouldn't you have more belief in yourself just because of that? Like that's your proof. Again, it's
Yeah,
like look at what our brains make proof, and like look at where we still have to like open up to expect miracles, because
exactly.
it's like no, God, it's almost like the story of like God keeps sending you a message, and you keep asking. It's like I keep asking for a sign, I keep asking for a sign, and it's like every day a sign comes in, and then there's 5 signs, but we're like, oh no, this sign isn't good enough, I need another sign, I need another sign, I need
Mhm,
another sign. It's like, what
mhm.
are you just gonna believe that you are enough, you are more than enough, you are
Oh,
so
I know.
expansive, you are God, you
Wait
are
just a second.
like,
Can you hear me?
this is it, this is the lesson right here, this is the
Hello?
lesson. Oh my gosh, I feel like, did I lose you? I feel like we went too high into the ethers there. Earth to Marissa. Earth to Marissa. Earth to Marissa. I hope you put this part in there. We went so high in the ethers that Zoom and Riverside could not hold us.
Hi.
We're
Like,
back. Oh my gosh.
oh my gosh.
I was gonna say I was telling everyone, well, I was alone here. I was like, sometimes when you drop really, really high vibe codes, like straight channeling, the vibration's so high that like the internet cannot hold it.
No, my internet, like I'm pretty sure my whole Wi-Fi just went down.
See? That's how you know it's the truth with a capital T.
Literally. Technical difficulties, but for the win, because we surrendered. We were like, oh, well, we were literally like, so I said to Jordan, I was like, we literally met through me posting on Instagram, like, hey, does anyone know anyone that knows a lot about surrender? And you were brought forward into the field.
Yeah.
And now, like, I feel like we just keep being met with these moments of surrender, but
Yes.
it's beautiful because when you do, best case scenario occurs.
And I lit this candle for us, remember?
Yes.
Before our podcast
Yes.
started, I lit this candle. We said a prayer together, and the candle was, I am calm. And I got this from Costa Rica, so
Yes.
more Costa Rica codes coming in, but it's just beautiful because I stayed calm through it. I was just like, Earth to Marissa. Like, I trusted. And that is what surrender's all about. It's like, okay, stay calm, surrender it all, trust that there's always a solution for the highest good, right? And like, and then to note on our previous conversation, it's like, we've got to just take the next step in front of us and trust that more will be revealed. That's what surrender's all about. Surrender's not about knowing the full staircase, right?
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, we got to surrender there because I was praying that it kept the first part of our checks. I was like, that was so great.
Same.
It was so like
It was so
magical.
good. Yes, yeah, we
but-
were just flowing. But
But yeah,
sometimes, yeah, the ether just can't hold our frequency.
yeah, and it happens. It's so funny. It happens with my private clients all the time when we're on Zoom
wild.
and like we're in a moment of like truth with a capital T and clarity, and like, or I'll be like in I call it like my preacher channel. I'm like I'm preaching. It's like boom, our internet, like one of our internets will go out and we'll have to reconnect or we'll drop off. It's so funny. It happens all the time. So that was just funny to me because that's how you know that we're vibing, because as we know, energy, I mean, it's funny because people believe in the internet, people believe in people believe in Bluetooth. It's like that's literally energy frequency too. So we're going just above and beyond that frequency, and it collapses the other frequencies. Anyway, that's another podcast for another day.
Yeah, frequencies, technology. Yeah. Oh, well, since we're on the topic of surrender, I want to hear this beautiful song. I mean, I've already heard it on Spotify, but like, I can't wait to hear it live. I have never heard you sing live. And then your birth story that really just was inspiration to this beautiful, magical code that came through your voice.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so yesterday was actually my son's 5th birthday. His name is, well, I have 2 sons, but my older son, his name is August. And he is the baby that this song and this experience was written about. And just yesterday, I was in my feels. You know, I'm like, wow, he's 5 years old today, and he is thriving. And when I share a little bit about this story of how he came to Earth, like just him thriving today, healthy, well, and healed, like, is a miracle. So yeah, it's all about the surrender, and I just can't believe he's 5. I'm like, what? I have a 5-year-old. He's gonna start kindergarten in the fall. Like, I'm a mother. It still blows my mind that I'm a mother, to be honest with you, because I feel like I'm 5.
Literally, I feel like I will feel similar things, right?
Yeah, but the playfulness and the celebration and the fact that I am such a like playful, jovial mother, that's why I don't feel like a mom, because like, yes, there's moments where I have to be a parent and be more stern and like, guide him lovingly, but most of the time we're just in play. We're just in
Oh,
celebration together. And like, that's fun. And it brings me back home to myself.
that's so admirable too, because you can really, I feel like you get through to people when you match their frequency, and kids are
Yes.
so in play and
Yes.
curiosity and wonder,
Mm.
and that's
It's,
beautiful. I mean, even in the last episode, I remember you mentioning a few things like that, where just staying in that childlike wonder helps you
yes.
to create through every moment and
Yeah.
just find that inspiration.
And it helps with our human adult relationships too. It's like we've always got to stay in the wonder. We've always got to stay in the curiosity, because when we shut our mind down and immediately judge someone, it always goes awry. It's just not, that's not our truth. That's not our nature. Our nature is play and curiosity and
Yes.
whimsicality. And so it's like whenever your mind wants to shut something down and immediately make an assumption or a judgment about someone else or yourself, right? Just know that those are clouds. Clear the clouds away and know that the sun is always there. And that's the playfulness, the light, the curiosity, the unconditional love. Just remember that that's always there. The sun is always there, even when there's clouds, even when there's storms coming through. And so that's part of the surrender too. It's trusting, okay, I know the sun is there. I know that that's my unconditional love. I call it my Christ light. Like, it's there. That's the truth of who we are. It's like we're perfect, holy, whole, and healed.
Yes.
But there are storms in life. There are clouds that come through. And sometimes the clouds can be for months and months on end, right? And so we just have to keep trusting and keep committing to the remembrance of our son, and that it's always there, and
Yes.
that is
Yes.
the truth of who we
Yes.
are. And so I always remember that, and it helps me stay grounded. It helps
Oh,
me
absolutely.
stay in devotion, and helps me stay surrendered.
The sun, I'm even wearing a sun right
Oh,
now.
you
My the sun, and it
are.
says delicate balance, which I absolutely
Love
love,
it.
because
Love it.
it's that delicate balance of, right, being an adult and having the societal blah blah blahs, but
Yeah.
also remembering who you are at your core, who you are in spirit's eyes, in God's
Yeah.
eyes,
Yes.
and balancing the two to walk
Hmm.
through this human experience.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, so anyway, with August, he's been
Yes.
one of my greatest teachers. And then my younger son, Aiden, his middle name is Sol, S-O-L, which means son.
Oh,
So he's my little son fire baby. Um, Aiden's taught me so much too. They're just so different. My boys are so, it's like, how are you from the same womb? Um,
yeah.
I call Aiden like my little Zen baby. He's like my Zen peace baby. He's a projector in human design. He like, observes everything and then pops into my energy field and like, can get wild then. But he's like, yeah, he's like my Zen baby, just joy, like pure joy almost all the time. And then August is more, he's like a reflection of myself. He's like a divine mirror of me. And he brings up all of my stuff that I didn't accept about myself when I was a child. And when I'm an adult, I identify as, ADHD, autistic and ADHD. And August actually has an official diagnosis of that, of autism. And they said they can't do an ADHD diagnosis till he turns 5, but I'm sure that's coming next.
Yeah.
But August is receiving the support, the diagnosis, and not that you need a label, but it helps you get more support, that you can thrive
Absolutely.
more in this, because we do have a
Yeah.
society that we have to learn to live in, right? And so I feel like he's getting all that support and the love and the attention that I never really got as a kid, that I needed as
Yeah.
a neurodivergent, artistic, spiritually connected child. Um, and he's getting it, and I get to pour that love into him, and I get to pour the love that and I'm not here to say like I never received that love, but I had people in my life that I feel like got me and understood me, and then there's people like my dad that I ended up losing, and when I was a child. And it's like, that's a story for another day, but it's like I had people that saw me, but then I had a lot of people that didn't see me and that expected me to fit into a box,
Yes.
when a square peg in a round hole. It's like I did not fit, and then that caused a lot of resistance, growing up, and even still today, right? So it's the art of all of it's coming back to the art of acceptance, right?
Yeah.
Accepting ourselves with that love and that compassion and that amazing grace.
Mm-hmm.
But through August, I get to see that he is so curious. He's so, when he puts his mind to something, nothing's stopping him to do it. You know, he's
Oh.
got that like
Mm-hmm.
the ADHD, like, okay, hyper focus.
Yep.
I love that. And I love that about myself. And I get to love that through him too. And
Mm-hmm.
he's literally my divine reflection. And so he is my greatest teacher. I love
Mm-hmm.
him so much. And in the moments where I get to have, there's moments where internally stuff comes up for me,
Oh,
a trigger,
absolutely.
and I
Mm-hmm.
get to work through that. I get the blessing through him to work through that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Oh, yes. And the awareness that you have is just stunning because I feel
Mhm.
like a lot of children are divine reflections for their parents, me to my mom, you know. And without the awareness there, it's a lot of harsh and it can be
Mm,
icky feelings
yeah,
and even resentment towards a child,
yeah,
you know, resentment and judgment towards the child,
yeah,
or, you know, all of this, like almost, I think that's where you get the like living through your child because they
yeah,
have everything you didn't
yeah.
receive, and then you're like
Hmm.
vicariously living through them, and it can just become really funky and murky
Yeah.
really quick. So it's so beautiful and stunning to see this awareness that you have. And
Mm,
I mean, just you, every experience is medicine for you as you
it
move through
is.
your life. And so, no, like truly, I gather that from you, right? Like, you look at everything through this lens of like, how can this be like expansion for me right now,
Yes.
you know, like this
Yes.
crazy thing is happening, but like, and you might have a reaction immediately, but like at the end there's
Hmm.
magic that comes from every experience. And so that relationship that you can have with your own child
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, I see that and I'm
Yep.
gonna just sit with it, I'm just gonna sit with it. Like,
Yep.
more parents, I would love to see you create a course on this
Yeah.
for other parents, right?
That's percolating. That's definitely percolating for me.
Yeah.
I feel like through this next year too of getting him into school and seeing how that all
Mm-hmm.
functions, and also being the parent of a neurodivergent child and being neurodivergent myself, like there could be
Well,
a
the
whole course on
patience.
that. There's
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
there's a lot of wisdom that definitely wants to come through me, and I'm
Oh, yeah.
still calibrating it in the moment because I've got two small young children, now they're not under 5 anymore, they're 5 and 2. But parenthood, I just got to say, like, for our listeners too, you guys, parenthood is a journey. It is a journey of lessons, learning, self-reclamation, self-learning, learning how to unconditionally love and
Mm-hmm.
practice what we preach, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
if we trust in source, God, whether you call it, whatever you call it, Jesus, Christ, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, if we want to be that reflection, which I know I want to be that
Oh,
reflection of unconditional
absolutely.
love.
Yeah.
Like, parenthood is a way to practice it,
Mm-hmm.
and a way to really embody it. And then also, I know people talk about entrepreneurship is like the ultimate self growth, which that too, I'm a parent and an entrepreneur. Ooh, I'm a double
Yeah.
winner.
Yeah. You came here to get shit done,
I
Jourdan. You
came here
came.
to fucking master this shit and get you bet your bippy. These next 30 years are me gonna be blowing all my wisdom to y'all. So here you go. Follow along.
And the world is a better place for it. Let's be real. Like, thank God. Thank
Oh my
God.
gosh.
Thank Goddess. Oh.
I love it. But yeah, so all of that to say, I don't even remember where I was going with that. August, shoot, you just said something that I wanted to share about, but
um.
parenthood's a journey. Oh, the divine reflection
Yes.
of August within me. I also get to teach him. I get to teach him regulation strategies because that's big
Which.
right now. Because the
Yes.
fight. I feel like whether your kid is neurodivergent or neurotypical, like you're gonna
Everyone
have
needs it.
tantrums, you're gonna have
Yeah.
stuff to move through, and so I teach him things like tapping
Mm-hmm.
and breath work techniques,
Yeah.
and I teach him how he can regulate his body so that he can still feel his feelings, because
Mm-hmm.
we never want to repress the feelings, but we want to allow the children and ourselves to learn how to create a safe space a healthy way to feel those feelings
Mm-hmm.
so that they can process through, and then we can, reestablish that calm, right? Remember our
Yes,
candle,
the calm.
the calm within the nervous system regulation, right? And I
Yes,
always say, like, I know system regulation's a big keyword right now in the spiritual world,
absolutely.
but there's no way that we're going to be completely regulated and calm all the time. That is impossible.
Yeah.
And to try to amount to that, you'll always fail, and you're going to go back into that fear, shame, guilt spiral. So, like, ex-nay, the always regulated, always at peace. That's not
Yeah.
possible being in a
No.
human body.
Mm-hmm.
However, the goal is to actually feel the feelings, let the energy move through you,
Yes.
then you can come back to a state of regulation. And I think we shared this on the last, I think I shared this on the last episode, but it's like, don't make your emotions wrong. That's the
No.
biggest lie that's being told to us in the spiritual community. All
Mm-hmm.
emotions are valid and beautiful, and if they're coming
Yes.
up for you and they're authentic, trust that that's meant to be there, right? So the rage, the anger, the sadness, the grief, same with the joy and the elation and the melancholy, like, let it all be there,
Mm-hmm.
because to repress it will only create disharmony and dis-ease.
Yes. Dis-ease. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I said it that way
Mm-hmm.
for a reason.
Yup. Yup.
Dis-ease, lack of ease.
Mm-hmm. And I want to touch on one thing. I think for a lot of people, it's easy to feel that for themselves and allow
Mm,
all of their emotions to come through. I
yeah,
know personally, I've been trying to hold that for other people because
yeah,
I've found myself judging, especially my partner, if he
yeah.
he can get really anxious sometimes
Mhm.
and really nervous, and
Yeah.
I find myself like, why are you
Mm,
feeling like that? Like, this isn't a big deal. Like, you need to calm down, like a little
yeah.
harsh because I'm just like, because I don't feel it, right? So I don't
To you, it's not a
understand.
big deal in your perspective, in your reality,
Exactly. But
but in
it's
his reality, it is. Yeah.
melting and yeah, in someone else's reality, right?
Yep.
And so I think there's like, how have you found, even with August, like if something blows up and he's having like a full down meltdown and you're seeing it
Yeah.
from that different perspective, how do you tap into compassion in those moments?
Yeah. Oh, great question. Well, first of all, it's so funny because when you have a toddler, and if you have one out there, you know this already. You're probably chuckling. They can have a meltdown over the cup being the wrong color. Like, it is the end of the world. So because this isn't technically blue right now, if I gave him this, he might accept it. It depends on the day and the hour and the minute,
Yeah.
but he might be like, "This is not my favorite color, blue," and then that can cause a whole thing.
Which is just wild. Yeah.
It's wild because, like, before I became a parent, I was like, that stuff's so dumb. And now I'm like, no, this is a very real thing because to them, it's the end of the world. And our job is not to judge and shut down, because then guess what? That creates distrust within the parent-child relationship. If you think about it, how did you feel when a teacher or a parent kept dismissing your very real valid feelings? You felt like, oh, this is not a safe person to go to anymore. This is not a safe person to share any of my inner world with, right?
Yeah.
So you have to think from that perspective of like, I want to be a safe person for him. And I want to be a teacher for him, but not, I don't believe in being like his only teacher. That's not my job. And props to people who homeschool. I'm not that type of person. I want someone else to be his teacher in that world so that I can be his safe landing place at home. I want to be his safe landing place first and foremost, and his friend. And I know there's a lot of debate about that, but I would rather my child feel like my mom is my friend and my mom is my safe landing place to come home to cry and to weep and to get angry and to witness me in all of my shameful moments. I would rather have that relationship with my child than say, "Oh, I'm your teacher too, and now you have to listen to me for all this other aspect of life." I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to hold all that. But,
Mm.
again, no judgment, no props to people who do all of it. I just believe, like, I want to be my child's safe space. And I want them to learn from other people. Like, that's why we're here, community,
Yeah.
right?
Tribe mentality. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, one thing, based on your question that popped up for me, is actually something that August taught me. And now it's like, this is so
That's
wild.
beautiful.
now I get to teach it back to him because he definitely needs it taught back. And so do we, right? As adults, we'll
Yep.
learn something, we'll teach it to
Yep.
someone, and then we need it in that moment, right?
Exactly, all the time.
So, what he taught me initially, but now I get to teach him back, is in that moment of the cup issue, or even a little, like he'll get a little scratch on his leg, and it's like a tiny little scratch, but to him, it's the end of the world. He really doesn't like to get hurt. Owie, there's an owie, and then he'll start shaking, and he'll kind of like, his system will go into overdrive. And so I'll get down on his level. That's the thing. That's about connection. I get down on his level and I say, "Hey, August, this scratch on your knee, I see you, and I see that we need to get a Band-Aid on it, and we absolutely will. But first, I want you to look at that scratch. And is this a big problem or a little problem?" And he sits there and he thinks, and he goes, "Little problem." And I said, "Okay, what would be an example of a big problem?" And he goes, "If my leg got cut off." And I was like, "Yeah, that would be a big problem. Like then we would go to the hospital, we figure out how to hopefully get that fixed, right? Thank God for the Western medical system for that. If you lose a limb,
Yeah.
And anyway, and then I'm like, "Yeah, that's right. So this little scratch here, it's a little problem. It's a baby problem. And we're going to go right now, and I'm going to help you clean it off, and I'm going to help you get a Band-Aid, and we're going to be good." And so we're going to be good. So, and then I'll have him take a few breaths with me. And I say in through your nose, out through your mouth, because that's, a good breathing technique to calm the nervous system. And he'll do that, and then he'll be better. And then I grab his hand, I hold his hand, I let him know I've got you. I always say to him, "I've got you, I hear you." And then we walk. And this was an Easter egg hunt. This was an exact example that happened this past weekend. And we went and got him his Band-Aid, and he was good to go. So it's like, but he initially taught me that because I was freaking out about something. What was it? Like a couple weeks ago, I don't know what it was. I was freaking out about something. I was just maybe I was the week of my period or something, but I was in like a state. And he came up to me and he said, "Mamia," and he calls me Mamia. That's his name.
That's so beautiful. Mamia. Oh.
He says, "Mamia, that's a baby problem." He's like, "Give me an example of a big problem." And he makes me think of a big problem, which, gets your mind out of like the
fight or flight,
the cone zone that we're in, right?
Yep.
And he makes me think of a big problem. And he was like, "Yeah, so see, this is a baby problem. You're going to be okay."
That is, children have so much wisdom. Like, that's just so smart to like bring it down to a level that's so easily digestible, right? That is, oh,
and
that's beautiful.
And I want to give credit where credit's due. He does go to ABA therapy, because like he's got his autism diagnosis, so he goes to ABA therapy 4 days a week. And I think he may have learned that from one of his BTs that he works with. So props to the BTs if you taught him that. But also, if he channeled it, like props to him. But either way, he brought it to me though. He brought that to me, and it's just amazing because now I get to show it back to him, and now we get to remind each other of it. And that's where that friendship comes in, And I don't mean friendship as where like I'm not like emotionally dumping on my children in that way of like that type of friendship, which honestly no friendship should be like that.
No.
But we're friends, like where we can trust each other and we can teach each other. And I'm humbled enough to know that I can learn from everyone here. And just because I'm older or the parent doesn't mean that I have this high authority of knowing everything. And I think that's a detriment to so many people out there that think that way.
So many relationships. I definitely feel that in my, I think, parental relationships. It's this hierarchy. They haven't yet learned or seen me as like my own, I feel like. And that it's just hard because sometimes when I talk, like I feel like, if I asked my mom like, "Hey, have you learned things?" she would say absolutely, but I think there is still a level of like, well, I know best because I know you and I know who you are and I know you at your core. I wiped your butt, when you were younger. It's like, but I think that view is actually getting in the way of you actually seeing me and getting to know me. And so
and when
this level, go ahead.
when we think we know everything about someone, that's when our growth stops. Our connection stops.
Yep.
Because like I always have the goal of seeing each person with new eyes every day, because that's when new possibilities can occur.
Yes, I'm taking that code in. I
Yeah.
have a friend that comes to mind where, yeah, they were just in like a unhealthy routine for a long time, and they've since been out of that for about like a year and a half, probably. And every
Hmm.
time they do something different from their old way of
Yeah.
doing or being, it surprises me
Yeah.
because I had already assumed
Yep.
that they were
They're,
there's that assumption, that perception,
they're in a
and
box. This is what
yep,
they are. Yep.
exactly. And
Yep.
I notice it every time it happens, and I'm like, dang, I really need to do the work to like let that old version
Yeah.
of them die, because
Yeah.
that they are no longer that person.
Yeah.
And like what steps can you take to let that old version kind of die?
Yeah.
Do you have any
I think
advice for that?
it's like it sounds like a broken record, but a lot of surrender, a lot of
Yeah.
like take yourself off the pedestal. I feel like oftentimes I'm telling other people take other people off the pedestal. That's true too.
Yeah.
Because we'll all fall short, but take yourself off the pedestal of I know everything. Because the only truth in the entire world is like change. Change is always going to happen. So
Yeah.
can you trust that, and can you surrender into the unknowing and say, okay, I don't know everything, and that is perfect.
Yes.
That's actually where we can blossom into what I call the magic and miracles of life. When we humble ourselves to knowing that we don't know everything, and knowing that that's actually the magic of this experience being human.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's constant, we got to constantly remind ourselves,
Bring it
just like
back.
I talk about the clouds. We got to let the clouds pass. Remember, the sun's always there. Even if you're in a storm for a decade, can you still trust and remember that the sun is always there, right? Same with people around us. Like, sometimes you might have to remind yourself every time you interact with that person. You might have to say, oop, maybe you, and as a hypnotherapist, I love to turn things into metaphor, because our
Yeah.
subconscious mind is like a child. It learns through metaphor, it learns through play. So I always think, like, how can we turn this into a metaphor that you can think of next time you come into contact with this person, right? Think of it like a helmet. This is just what's coming to mind in the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
You're wearing a helmet, and this helmet, it's hard, and you think it's to protect yourself, and maybe it did serve as protection for a while, right?
So true, though.
But it's the
Yeah.
helmet that of your belief system about that person, or about that place, or that thing, right? Or that identity. And now, before asking you to take the helmet off, which might not feel safe to your nervous system yet, first I invite you to like poke holes in it. Poke holes in the helmet so that you can breathe. Like, notice that you can breathe in and out through your head. Okay, if there's holes in my helmet, think about it, try it for a second. Like, poke holes in your helmet, and if you're listening right now, what is your helmet? Like, what are your judgments that you have about maybe someone else or yourself or a person, a place, a thing, right? So put your helmet on, poke holes in that helmet, take a breath, and notice if you can breathe a little bit better when there's holes there. And if you feel safe enough to unclip and remove the helmet, it might feel a little scary right now, and if you're not ready for that, that's okay. Because remember, we do things to protect ourselves. Our body always thinks, our mind always thinks it's trying to help us, it's trying to protect us, so things that can be done out of survival. But now it's time to step into thrival, right? A totally different mode. So take that off, take that helmet off, and be like, wow, there's like every single possibility on this planet and more available to me when I take this helmet off of this belief system, of these judgments,
Yes.
of these assumptions that I've made about this person, place, or thing. Or even an ideology. I mean, politics, for example. Take your
Yeah.
helmet that you believe about everyone else that believes opposite of you. Like, poke holes in it for a second. Come back to the sun, you know?
Yes.
So, anyway, take off that's kind of what I would,
Oh, I love
that's
that.
the advice I would give. Like, every time you come into contact or interaction with this person, poke the holes in the helmet, see if it feels safe enough to take off. If it doesn't, don't shame yourself. Just have the holes Say, I'm open to believing something different. I'm open, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're ready, take that helmet off and say, I'm ready to meet this person with new eyes, and make that your intention.
Mm-hmm. I love that you said, thank you, first of all, for that exercise. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that, and that resonated so much. Um,
Yay. That
yes,
just came to me. I'm like, I'm flowing here. Like, we
and
did not plan this.
and this is why y'all need to work with Jourdan. Go to her website, go to the website, sign up for a
Yes.
session because truly it is magical. The protection aspect, this person that I was thinking of, it very chaotic. Like someone you show up, you don't know what state they're going to be in.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
could be full on meltdown, quiet,
Hmm.
like their most divine light. Like it was just there's an array of this person,
Yeah.
and so I
Yeah.
think it definitely was a shell
Yeah.
that I placed
Yeah.
over myself. But I'm seeing them
For
tonight, so
sure.
I'm gonna try this. I want
Oh,
to try this out. So this is like, yeah,
yay. Yeah,
real
try it
time
out.
medicine. Real
Let
time
us
medicine.
know. Let us know.
Yeah, I will.
And also just again, just an extra reminder that by putting on that shell, by putting on that helmet, don't make yourself wrong for it, right? We only know how much we know until we learn something different, and then we can choose to do different. So, like, it's also not wrong to protect yourself. I just want to put that out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You do not, and I know you and I have had private conversations about this. Like, we don't have to be an emotional punching bag for other people either. And so, if that person is in that state, you also have the ability to remove yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, remember
Stand up
that
for
too. You
yourself.
don't have to sit through abuse. You don't have to sit through, I call it like being an emotional punching bag, just because we're full of unconditional love. So that's when like the boundaries come into play too, but also taking a stand for yourself and speaking that truth with a capital T, because even if someone doesn't receive it well, if you're in your calm, empowered, truthful state, you've done your job for your own, and trust that that's going to actually be for the highest and greatest good for both of you.
Mm-hmm. It shifts the frequency when you show
Yeah.
up in that
Hmm.
state, in
Yeah.
the centered, like definitely take a breath. And I have an Aries moon, and my best friend all the time when shit hits the fan, she's like, "What? Don't respond right now. Why don't you actually just like think about it for a day?" Because she's an astrologer. She was like, "It's best if you just like think about it and ruminate on it. Like, don't do anything right now."
That's
She's like
so
that
funny.
voice in my head, and I'm like, "Thank you so much,"
Oh
because
my
I
gosh.
totally would have said something right now in this like flustered.
Oh my gosh.
So I love that, and the compassion towards self in that moment too that you mentioned of like it's okay to even
Yeah.
feel those emotions when they first come forward towards someone, but
Yeah.
it's definitely best to, yeah, sit with it, meet them in
Yeah.
your highest frequency, and that will ripple out and invite
Yes.
their highest frequency to come forward. And even when you were stating too, I heard this recently and I love it. When someone's acting from maybe a lower vibrational state, how can you find the king or queen within them, right? Or the
Yeah.
royalty within them and talk to that part of them.
Yes. Yes.
And that part of them will, like, don't feed the lower vibrations that are coming
Yeah.
forward.
Yep.
Feed
Yep.
their highest
Yes.
place where you know they can be.
Yes.
And I feel like with
Yes.
kids
Amen.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And with yeah. Oh, yeah, so many people in my life, and a certain client comes to mind too, where I'm like, yeah, just we've got to feed that highest part of them, because when you're in, yeah, when you're in the lower vibratory states, we're in the victim mode, right? We're in the scarcity mentality, and it's like we'll claw our way into trying to get someone else to react to us, because again, it's maladaptive coping mechanism. And I could psychoanalyze situations all day, but it's like knowing that even with kids, like we try to in August sometimes we'll do something, you know, I don't want to call it bad, but it's like he'll do something to create chaos to get a rise out of me, but his system is just looking for attention, and ultimately it's looking for love, but
Yeah.
that's not the way you go about it. But our system thinks, oh, if someone is coming towards us even with disgust or despair or frustration, that's still love, but it's a maladaptive convoluted love, you know what I'm saying? And so
Yep.
adults do this all the time too. So we have to remember that when someone's coming at us with like, well, you did this, you did that, or whatever, blah blah blah, it's like that's their self that is looking for, I want you to see me, I just want you to see me.
Yes.
I want you to love me. I want to, or I want to be seen. No,
Yeah.
I want
I
to be
deserve
seen.
love. Yeah.
Yes. And so
Mm-hmm.
can we, like you said, can we speak to that queen or that king within them instead of feed into the bottom feeder stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like let the
Absolutely.
bottom feeder stuff, like that, speaking to that is only going to invite in more sharks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Oh,
Yes.
I love that. And let's bring it back.
Yeah.
We went all the way.
I know.
So August and the birth story.
Yeah, so it's funny because you mentioned Aries moon, and I was like, ooh, great loop back, because I wanted
Yeah.
August to be an Aries. I thought I wanted him to be an Aries.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was funny, like everything about August, everything about him
Leading up.
has been surrender.
Oh.
Everything, even from what were you gonna say?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say everything like pointed to him being an Aries.
Oh, well, it did.
Well,
Well, yeah,
yeah.
I'll get that. But like overall, just the overarching story of August, who I love so much, uh, it's all been surrender. It's all even from day one because day one, I got pregnant within like a month of meeting Igor, his father. So that was a whole. I mean, that's a whole story in itself. That's a whole nother
Uh-huh.
podcast for another day. But I remember like we met and um, I thought I was pregnant the first. Like we met and I thought I was like instantly pregnant. So I was like, oh my gosh, I think we should take Plan B. And then I took Plan B, got my period that month, and then the next month is when we got pregnant with August. Like, don't do this at home, folks. Don't do this at home.
No.
Learn.
That baby wanted to come through. He was like, "Nah,
Seriously,
fam. Actually, you
seriously,
thought."
so the joke. This is the joke, and the joke is that it was not Plan B. August was Plan A. Get it?
That's hilarious. Yeah.
He's like Plan A. He's like, y'all, I am coming through, whether y'all like it or not. And that's his energy
That's
too. I love
beautiful.
his energy. He's just so like if he wants something, he gets it done. And it's so funny because I feel like in the ethers, like he was up in the spirit world, like waiting, his little spirit. He's like, oh, my mom met my dad. I'm coming in. And I feel like all the angels were like telling him, yo, dude, let him get to know each other a little more. Like let him meet first. He's like, nah, dog. Nah, dog. Like they met. Like I'm
Time to
coming
go.
through. I'm going down the slide into that womb.
That is hilarious.
So
Yeah.
that's our joke to like get it started because he was like, "Oh, they met. We're good to go." And I feel like everyone up in the spirit world, everyone up in heaven was like, "No, doc, like
Chill,
wait, like just
chill.
let them get to know each other, let them grow a little bit." He's like, "Hey, no, no."
No, it's go time. It's go time. I've been waiting.
So it's just because that's his personality. I just love it.
Yeah.
It's so
Oh.
funny. And so anyway, I got pregnant, and I remember in that moment, I had just moved to Nashville. All that stuff had just like happened in my life. Everything had come tumbling down. I had lost everything, and then I like healed myself, and then I met Igor, and then I got pregnant. Like it was just like all of this happened like right upon moving to Nashville. And I just remember taking a moment because getting pregnant was something that had never happened to me before. I had never been pregnant before this point. I'd had close calls, but never actually had a pregnancy test and it said pregnant. And so this was like, holy shit. It was like a
Yeah.
moment of divine redirection. And so I had to check in, and I always go to prayer. Prayer is always the first thing I do. I'm very, very connected, and I talk with God all day, every day. And so I went to prayer and I said, God, all right, you told me that in moving to Nashville, there would be greater things in the works. That was the very
Mm.
clear message that came through. That's why I left my life in LA. But then all that stuff happened, recalibrated me. I was like, I just met Igor. I just met this man. And now I'm pregnant. Like, basically, my question was, like, is this the divine plan? Like, is this almost like, I don't want to compare myself to Mary, but almost like, am I supposed to be pregnant right now, God?
Yeah.
It felt like that same energy of like, is
Yeah.
this truly the divine plan? Or am I supposed to like
Mm-hmm.
figure out a different solution here?
Yeah.
And the message I got was, haha, like, so sorry we had to surprise you with this, but yes, like, this was the divine plan. And you are deep. I got the message that you're deeply loved and supported. trust that you're going to be fine. Because I had like no money at the
Yeah.
time. I was
Yeah.
literally all that. Didn't I share my breakdown in the
Mm-hmm.
last episode?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just like I had just surrendered all this stuff. And I got the message that lovingly, it was like lovingly, we knew you might not have chosen motherhood on your own accord. Because I never thought I would be a mother. I never had the
Mm.
desire to be a mother, which is funny
Yeah.
because now like that's such a huge identity for me.
Yeah.
And people tell me all over, they're like, you are like the best mom I know. And I'm like, oh, thanks, but initially that was not my Jordan's life plan. They say make
The
plans
ego.
and then
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
No. Yep. Yep.
watch what God has in store for you. So the message that came through was like it was very loving and it was very like we knew you wouldn't have necessarily chosen this, but like this is part of your journey. Like, so can you surrender to this and know and trust that even though everything just broke down, we're rebuilding you. We're restoring you. You're meant to be a mother
Wow.
in this lifetime. And this is the journey that you're meant to go on. And I remember this was like day one of finding out I was pregnant. And then Igor came to me and he said, hey, I just want you to know, like, I'm 100% in. Like, I'm all in.
Oh.
I'm not going to abandon you. I'm not going to leave. Like, I want, and he always wanted to be a dad. So, like, he was like,
Gosh, I feel tears coming.
yeah.
Like,
And we're not even to, like, the birth part yet.
No. But that's just so beautiful to be held in that way
Yeah.
by someone that you just met.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
I mean, that our meeting was absolutely divine. We were absolutely supposed to have, we were like contracted to have these two children together for
And
sure.
are you two still together?
We
Not
live
that it
together.
matters. Yeah.
Yeah, we're navigating all
That's
of
what
the
I thought
intricacies.
you were still like co-parenting and in the same household.
We
Yeah.
are. We're co-parenting and we're navigating the intricacies of, romantic relationship, but right now we're really committed to our children and
Yeah.
having them have two happy, healthy parents and raising them together. So,
Which is stunning.
Yeah.
Yes.
but yeah, so back to that moment though, I just felt so much love and so much support and I was like, okay. And from that moment, I surrendered. I like totally 1,000% was in. And I never once had the thought of like, oh, I've got to go end the pregnancy or anything. And again, no judgment to anyone who's done that because if I didn't have that level of support, I might have gone there too, you know? But I ended up surrendering and I was like, all right, I'm doing this. And I found like a pregnancy care center that could like teach us about how to be a parent and like get us free diapers and support and like I literally built this all from scratch. And I just remember we walked the road. The pregnancy continued and this whole pregnancy was so beautiful. I loved being pregnant both times. I loved being pregnant. So that's
I'm glad to hear that. Because I've heard like some really not nice stories, so I'm really happy to hear that.
Remember, take the helmet off of judgment. Yes. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that just expect pregnancy to be so hard and so rough because of other stories they've heard. I invite you to like take that helmet off because I am living proof that it is possible to have like the most beautiful pregnancies both times. I was like just glowing and like vibrant because you have another soul inside of you. It's so cool.
Double the magic.
Yeah. And so I just loved being pregnant. And I remember I lived in a really rough area of Nashville back then because I just had moved there on a whim and like everything was up in there. And I remember being in like the moldy bathtub of that. I was like in the bathtub because I just had this big belly at this point. I was like 5 or 6 months pregnant. And I just remember sitting in the bathtub and meditating on what's this baby's name supposed to be. And August came through, and also it reminded me of August Rush. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I don't know if I've seen it, but
great movie. If you want to like tearjerker, good heartfelt feeling movie, go watch August Rush.
Yeah, love me one of those.
But he's like a very creative, like genius young boy who like uses his genius power of music to like find his parents again, and it's like so beautiful. And so I was like, wow, that totally fits. And August is a unique name. Like it's a name that
Yeah.
everyone knows how to spell, but it's also pretty unique, right? So I was like, this is perfect for him. So I was like, August shall be your name. And I remember in the bathtub in that moment, I was like, and your name is August. And he was like, and so it is. And
Oh.
and it's so funny because if you watch August Rush, like my August is, other than like the music part, which we haven't, who knows, maybe that will develop more later for him. Right now he's an engineer with cars and trucks and trains.
Oh, I love.
So think of the August Rush in the movie, but think of like an engineer for everything, and that is my August. Like so smart and so unique. Just thinks differently, and believes differently than everyone else, and I love that about him.
New Earth, baby.
Yeah, totally New Earth. So speaking of New Earth, so I thought he was going to be an Aries this whole time because the the due date I was given upon, going to midwives was the due date was April 9th. April 9th. And then this was the year 2020 that he was going to be born.
Activations.
So
Activations
what?
keep coming through. Whenever
Mhm.
I start yawning a lot, I know that like I'm integrating, and so I
Yeah.
apologize. I'm yawning, but like it's because I'm integrating.
Yeah, no, you're
It's just
good.
in
Oh
case
my
you
gosh.
see. I'm like, wow, so much goodness is like happening in my body right now. Go ahead.
Yawns are
Sorry.
good.
Yes.
Energetic recalibration.
Yes.
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 So yeah, so anyway, April 9th was the due date. April 12th that year was Easter, I believe. And so I was just like, oh, this is awesome, right? And April 9th was in the Aries realm. And I like looked up, I like Googled everything like Gemini mom, Aries kid, like Aries boy, like, I did the
Yep.
whole
Yep.
thing with that
As you
specific
do.
date.
Yep.
That's the first problem, my friends. Whenever you get a due date, that is not the due date. That is like a
Yeah.
random guess, basically, because they could
Mm-hmm.
come anytime.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this whole story is just about surrender, right? So it's like I thought, oh, early April, that's when he's gonna be born. I never even thought that he could be a Taurus because Taurus didn't start until like the 21st of
Yeah.
April. I never even thought. I never like that didn't even cross my mind. It's so funny because then in my pregnancy, so we all remember what happened in March of 2020, right?
Yes. How could you
Yes.
forget?
The entire world decided to start closing down. And I remember I'm like, his due date is literally like I was
Like
so
a month
pregnant.
away.
I
Yeah.
was so pregnant and so again in surrender to the whole
Oh my gosh.
experience, new
And
motherhood.
that is early COVID. So
Yeah.
like,
And
yeah,
it's the
no one knew
no one
anything.
it's the part where it was so early that no one knew what was going on. There weren't even like the conspiracies hadn't even started at that point, like
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, like it was just the unknown. We were moving into this world of unknown. I remember watching the news and like it was first in other countries before it came to us, and it was just
Yeah.
like this, whoa, it just felt so collective. And I was about to give birth for the first time, and that was a surrender, right? And I just remember that as April, like as we started going into April, and I remember our city, every city shut down differently, but our Nashville shut down like the third week of March. So like
Mm-hmm.
as I'm going into my last month of pregnancy, and they started, I watched my birth center because like I wanted to give birth at a birthing center instead of a hospital, but not
Yeah.
also at home. So birth center to me felt really good because it was like the in between. And the birthing center kept sending out these notices like, hey, we used to have unlimited support people, now it's down to 3. And I was like, oh no. And then I heard the horror stories of like New York City where they didn't get any support people and they had to birth alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then they sent another one that was like, now we're down to 2 support people. Like, so sorry, And like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's getting closer and closer to the time. And I feel like I'm going to be all alone, right? I was so scared. And I also had a plan, right? I had planned a photographer to be there. I had planned a doula and I had planned Igor. And so that's 3 people, and already I knew I was gonna have to cut one of them. And it made me so sad because I had like
Yeah.
pre-planned. I did such a good job pre-planning this. I have my birth story. It's all figured
Yep.
out beforehand.
Yep.
That's when God laughs. When you make plans like that, it's like, okay, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you think you know. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
We'll let them sit in that illusion. Sure, sure.
Yeah. So we get to there, and And I just remember my due date came and went. And I was like, oh, Easter, April 12th. He'll come on Easter. Easter came and went. The days ticked on, ticked on,
God.
ticked on. And I'm literally sitting there. So, you're supposed to stay in your home. I didn't. I was like, I need to walk and stuff. But I was just like, literally just waiting for this baby to be born, while the world was holding its breath as well.
Gosh. Yes.
And
Yes.
and I remember checking in with a friend of mine, because it was like April, what was it? Like April 20th. And that was like the last day cut off for Aries to end. And I was like, oh my God, he's not even going to be an Aries anymore, because I already printed out our birth charts together.
Oh my God.
I was like way overboard. Like,
That's hilarious.
guilty.
Yeah.
But don't we all do that in some aspects of our life,
Totally. Absolutely.
And so I remember checking in with a friend of mine who's very psychic and like connects with spirit babies. And I was like, she was like, let me just check in with him, with your permission. I was like, yeah, well, with mine and his permission, check in. And she was like, yeah, he's kind of feeling scared to come out right now. Like the world's kind of crazy, like there's a lot of stuff happening, and he feels really safe in your womb. Like you're his home. And I just remember like she kind of had a conversation with him, and they went back and forth, because she was like, your mom was like, you can come out now. And he's like, I'll think about it. That's totally him now too, which is so funny.
Gosh.
And then I remember her telling him I remember he said to her that he was scared that he was going to lose his connection to God if he was born.
Oh my God.
And that he wanted to keep that. And my friend, so lovingly, she told him, she said, you have the best mom for that. She's going to make sure that you never forget and that you're always connected.
I'm crying.
Isn't that sweet?
Oh my God. Yeah. But like
And-
so true.
Mhm.
Like I feel like that is like when you get a hit of remembrance, it's
Yeah.
that emotion.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
that emotion of like, oh my God, I forgot.
Yeah. Yeah. And she was
Oh.
like, you've got the best mama. Like she's so
Yeah.
connected. She's going to
These
make
new
sure
babies.
that,
Yeah, these new babies aren't meant to forget. No, I
Yeah.
feel like that's phazing out, right? That the like
Exactly.
illusion, the veil, the fog, the the
Exactly.
forgetting. It's
Yeah, and
phasing out. Oh,
especially like the neurodivergent babies, I really
Yes.
believe like they are meant to change the paradigm
yes.
for parenting and for how we live in the world.
Full body
Just with
chills.
this whole new acceptance, whole new just being fully themselves.
Yes.
And it's like all the other generations that literally were programmed to sit down, straighten your legs, straighten your hair, cross your legs, cover your rear.
Shave
It's
your
like,
body.
no. Yeah, literally, like they're like, no, thank you. Can't make me do that.
Can't do that. Don't even know how. Don't even vibrate in that frequency.
Yes. So anyway, in that moment, it was really beautiful because I was like, yes, I'm gonna help cultivate your spiritual connection in your own way that works for you and celebrate you. And so she told me though that he still paused. He was like, I'll think about it. Which is so him. It's so
And I
funny.
feel like Tauruses can be a little bit
Yeah.
like homebody. Like once they find something good, they
Yeah.
are comfortable.
They're like, I'm safe in here. I am not moving.
Yup.
And so I just remember then the next day passed, he's officially a Taurus, and I'm just like,
All
and
right.
now I feel like I'm going to get a lot of comments from people. Why are you hating on Tauruses? I am not hating on Tauruses. I just didn't know. When you don't know about something, and then also I expected an Aries. So when you're in that, again, it's my helmet was on.
Yep.
I was in the state of expectation, and I hurt my own feelings, right, by having that expectation.
Yep.
No hate to Tauruses. Now I love Tauruses because this baby, here's the kicker. This is like the reveal. He's a triple Taurus.
Whoa, a Taurus stellium?
He's a triple Taurus. Yeah.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah.
I want to meet
Yeah.
him.
He's amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we'll definitely meet.
Beautiful. Yes.
So now I love Tauruses, but it was just funny because like my bubble of he's got to be an Aries burst, and then
Completely.
and we're in COVID and like all this stuff's happening, and I just remember surrender after surrender after surrender, and so then it's April 21st, April 22nd, April 23rd. This point, you guys, I'm 2.5 weeks past my due date.
Yeah.
I'm huge. And then now like the midwives were getting a little concerned. They're like, they totally believe in going over your due date because they're a lot more natural and holistic minded, but they were like, okay, this is kind of like a long time. So maybe they were talking to me about like maybe we schedule like an induction on Friday or on yeah, the induction was scheduled for Friday afternoon. So that would be the 24th. And so I just remember my coach at the time, I was freaking out, you guys. I'm panicked. Like, think of how
Yeah.
I am in this
Your first
situation.
baby. Yeah.
I'm so panicked. I
We're
don't want
coming.
the induction.
No.
And I'm so panicked. And I remember going to my coach on Voxer and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do, Sarah? Like, I have no idea. And she was like, what you do is you surrender. You have a one-on-one conversation with him. Tell him about the options that he can either, if he wants to have a hospital birth,
Yeah.
he can choose to he can like tell him that you'll surrender if that's what he actually wants, or he can come now and maybe have a more comfortable birth or maybe not, but tell him his options so that he's very clear on what he wants to decide because this is his birth. You're just, you're the vessel and it's, you guys get to co-create this together. And then she said, I want you to bake him a birthday cake and then just have fun. And
Yeah.
so I remember
Oh.
that day. I remember that night. I baked him a birthday cake
Oh.
and I had that conversation with him and I fully surrendered. I was like, however you want to come is good, babe.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I had to have that same conversation with Aiden. That's a whole different story, a different podcast. But birth, you guys, birth is the ultimate surrender, right? So I remember that happened. I had the check-in, all the stuff. I go to bed. Now this was like the night of the 23rd going into the 24th of April. And I go to bed and I had surrendered. I was at peace with whatever happened. And at 3:33 a.m., which are my
No
magical angel
way.
numbers. Yes.
He was like, I'm coming.
3:33
Divine.
a.m.
Holy cow.
I wake up to a popping in my pelvis and my water broke.
Holy cow.
And I remember like it was a pop. It was so interesting. And then I remember I stood up and like, fluid was coming out. I'm like, oh, this isn't pee. At least I don't think so. So I remember waking up Igor. I'm like, Igor, my water popped. And then I texted my doula and, all this stuff. And we were within like an hour and a half.
Wow.
My contractions were close enough to like head to the birthing center.
Yeah.
And I just remember calling them and I'm like, hey, I know technically my induction was scheduled for like later this afternoon, but since I'm birthing now, you'll still let me birth at the birthing center, right? They're like, yep. And I'm like, yes. Like still trying to force
Holy
my
cow.
way there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'm like through contractions. I'm like, wait, I could still have what I want, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's wild.
anyway, long story short, I'm gonna try to like shorten it so we can get to the end. But long story short, then begins my 11-hour labor journey. I don't even like to call it labor because it is labor, but it's like it was my birthing journey. Like it was the act of birthing, which as we know, yes, birthing anything can be laborious, but also it can be ecstatic surrender if you're in the space of letting that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I will say that I used hypnobirthing techniques through my process, and I did not feel pain. I felt lots of pressure and lots of surrender, but not like an actual pain. And a lot of mothers will tell you that if you're focused on peace, right? And I kept saying peace, and I kept visualizing a beautiful orange warm energy around my womb, helping to move him out, and just saying with my breath, peace during every contraction. And also you got to rephrase it. So if you study hypnobirthing, which I highly recommend, they replace the word labor with birthing time. They replace the word contraction with waves. So like also the neuro-linguistic programming of like, oh, a birthing wave is coming. Think of how that sounds so much better than, oh, a contraction. Contraction literally means like closing in.
Yeah, what the hell?
No, it's a birthing wave, right? So it's like, again, our words matter, right? So I had like a printout for the nurses to use with me. Like, here's my words. Thank you.
You were so prepared. I'm telling wild. You. Yeah, you were on it.
Yes. And again, this is a story for another day, but with Aiden, I had a planned C-section. Again, that's a
Mm-hmm.
whole nother podcast for another day. But that was also beautiful because it was co-collaborative and I had a plan for my planned C-section and everyone respected my birthing plan and it was beautiful. So I just want to like put it out there that no matter how your birth ends up, and the one with August was actually ended up being extremely traumatic, but no matter how your birth ends up, it can still be an empowered birth and you do have a lot of say in what
Yes.
you get. So like don't just because a doctor tells you that you have to do it a certain way, get a second opinion. That I just want to put that out there
Amen.
because you can still be empowered through it. So here we are. I'm at the birthing center. I'm breathing. I'm using hypnobirthing. I'm saying peace with every birthing wave as it goes through. And I'm imagining that orange energy, and it's beautiful. That whole process up to hour 11, it was, I can truly say, like, from what I remember, it was beautiful. I've got lots of pictures of me like laying on birthing balls and like sitting in the shower and sniffing essential oils and like I've got lots of pictures and I've
That's
got like a
hilarious.
video of me going peace. So funny. You're in a different state, right?
Oh,
Like slowly
absolutely.
you're bringing life into the world.
Yeah,
You are
it's like a
in between
psychedelic
worlds. Yeah,
trip almost. Like you were in a
totally.
completely
Yeah.
euphoric, yeah.
And so I remember that first 11 hours was just really beautiful. And then things changed upon like when he was about, like when he started crowning.
Mm-hmm.
So like they were like, okay, we can see his head. And I thought I'd almost given birth already, but oftentimes when you can just see the head, there's still potentially an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to go.
Wow.
So I remember that's when I got in my head, and I again, I can't shame myself, but if I could go back, I would just remind little me like, don't be there, my love. Don't get back in your head, because when you go to your head, then you've left your body, right?
Yep.
You've left where I was for 11 hours. I was in such a beautiful flow state, and then I got in my head, and I let anxiety take over. And I love myself through this, but I started questioning everything. I started panicking and I started like, why is he not here yet? I thought this was already over. I really did. I was like, 11 hours, like, can we be done, please?
Yeah, yeah.
And I just remember that's when they started trying to, I think the whole process of my questioning was like an hour and a half to 2 hours long. But in that process, they kept trying to get his heart rate because they would measure his heart rate like every hour, I think.
Yeah.
But then they couldn't find his heart rate. And they were like, okay, like we don't they kept trying to not stress me out because
Yeah.
they knew I was hypnobirthing.
Yeah.
But they were trying to teach me and coach me on how to push because my body, remember what I said about our bodies try to keep us safe?
Oh yeah.
Because I was panicking, all the mechanisms that would have had me push shut down.
Oh my
My
God.
contractions or birthing waves stopped. It's like my body
Oh.
shut down the whole process because it was afraid,
Yep.
right? And so I
Mm-hmm.
have grace and compassion for that. But also, we were getting to like emergency situation because
Holy cow.
he was like in the canal, literally like
Yeah.
needed to come out. And so I just remember um, trying to surrender. And that's when I started singing and screaming and trying to get him to come out, and they kept trying to coach me, and my doula was there. Oh, by the way, I got to have my doula and Igor. I couldn't have the
Oh,
photographer, but I had my two people, so
yeah.
thanks.
Thank
Thanks.
God.
Praise be. uh,
Yeah.
but I just remember in those moments my doula was trying to coach me through pushing, and I remember looking at her with such fear. I was
Mm.
like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how. And I felt so helpless. I was like, I don't know, my body's not working. It's not working. And I got so in my head, and I was just trying to like scream it out, sing it out. And I remember saying, I surrender, I surrender. And then I was
Mm.
like squatting, and then again they couldn't find his heart rate. And like I remember they looked me right in the eyes and they're like, Jordan, this next push, we have to get him out. God's like, yes.
Yes.
They're like, this next push, we've got to get him out. Okay, we're gonna assist you. You've got this.
Wow.
Let's go. And because my contractions had stopped, they literally like for 3 hours. Like, and this
Holy
was like
cow.
This is what they call purple pushing, which is like you actually trying to force push, which isn't ideal.
Yeah.
Ideally, your contractions continue and they don't get shut down. Ideally, they just the birthing waves ideally just help you birth your baby. But in my case, again, that anxiety had kicked in and it shut down the whole neurological aspect of like the body doing what it's meant to, right? And we know this from life, right?
Yeah.
When we get in survival mode, it shuts
Everything.
down stuff,
Yeah.
right?
You
It
freeze.
shuts down our
Yeah.
breath even, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I just remember that last push. I didn't know it at the time, but
Yeah.
they actually like I didn't know this because I was so in my own head, but like they went in other holes of mine to like help bring him down.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it's TMI, but like it was intense. It was
Yeah.
intense. But he came out with their help, so I'm very grateful for that. And this is where I might cry sharing it, but
Yeah.
he came out and he was completely dark purple. Dark
Oh.
purple. And like I've seen birthing videos and I'd never seen a baby come out this dark purple.
Yeah.
I thought he was dead.
Oh.
And if you can just imagine
Mm, the
the
heartbreak.
moment that you give birth and you've put all this work into it, you put 9 months of preparation into it, your nursery's ready, like you've received all the gifts from all your friends, like
Mm-hmm.
and to give birth to a baby that is now unalive, like so many things in one split second, so many thoughts went through my head. I never knew how many thoughts you could have in a split second, right?
Yeah.
uh I shamed myself. I did it wrong. I did it wrong. It's all my fault. Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna even, and it's funny, even like the little girl in me that was scared, I have to give all my gifts back. That thought went through my head. Like what are we
And
gonna do
that's
with the nursery?
yeah, yeah, that just makes so much sense. Yeah,
It was
like
very innocent, but also like, how did I do this wrong? How could I have messed this up?
mm-hmm.
And feeling so, and that's the self-sabotage, the self-shame, that I say is never, never helpful. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember looking at him and I was so sad. And dark purple. And you guys, like he literally slumped over. Like he was slumped over, like completely. Seemed to me like he was dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Like slumped over. No breath, no cry. Now, again, let me remind you, this was a split second because the next second, the nurses and midwives immediately took him down to the ground and started resuscitating him. So again, that moment I just described was a split second. They
Yeah.
took him to the ground. They started performing, all the stuff to try to get him to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And now I will say that there's 8 minutes between that moment and the moment that he obviously, you guys know he's alive because I just said he turned
Yeah.
5. So there was 8 minutes between the moment that he was born and the moment that he took his first breath and cry.
Oh my
And
God.
in those 8 moments, those are the moments that I had to truly surrender every aspect of myself, every cell in my body. And I remember they had me lay back on the bed and I'm in shock, you guys. Like you just give birth to a baby and it looks like it's not alive. Like imagine, right? I'm just in
Yeah.
shock. My body was actually shaking. And I remember looking up, I'm laying on the bed, I'm looking up at the ceiling and I just start praying. I'm like, "Dear God, please bring this baby back." And then the nurses told me, they're like, talk to him, talk to me. I was like, August, it's safe to come back to earth now, baby. It's safe to come back now. Come back to your mama. I'm here, my love. It's safe to come back. And I just remember like pleading for him to come back. And then I started singing Amazing Grace.
Oh.
And then I kept saying over and over, I surrender, God, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. Because I literally couldn't do, like, I couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I literally, like, that's the moment, the moments of our greatest surrender, right? Are when there is nothing that we can do
Yep.
except surrender. And I remember my doula was praying over me. She's like very church doula. I love her to death. But she was like, baby Jesus, bring this baby back, like bring him back to life, like, and then I was singing Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound, while I'm shaking. Now, mind you, I didn't know this yet, but I was bleeding out. I was hemorrhaging. I didn't know this, but that's why I was actually shaking, because I was losing blood. And the nurses, again, we're still trying to get August to breathe, but the
Yeah.
nurses were taking, like, there was pads underneath me that I didn't know. They were replacing the pad every 30 seconds because it was drenched with blood.
Oh my God.
I didn't even know this. And
Oh my God.
I'm just, God, I surrender. I surrender. I just kept saying, I surrender, right? Not knowing that I was bleeding out,
Yeah.
not knowing if my baby was going to make it.
Oh my
And
God.
so those 8 minutes literally seemed like an eternity.
Yeah. Yeah.
But eventually, we heard his first cry.
Oh.
And it was a moment I will never forget. It's even, talk about technology glitching?
Yeah.
My phone, the whole time I was not on my phone. It was across the room. But my phone, I had like a Voxer group chat with all my friends that were like supporting me through my pregnancy.
Yeah.
The last time I just told them all, like, I'm leaving for the hospital. So hours ago was the last time I was even on that chat.
Yeah.
But guess what happened? When he took his first cry and I was bleeding out in the bed, my phone on the other side of the room recorded a message of him crying
What?
and sent it to all of them. Yeah. Talk about miracles.
What?
Yeah. Because
Insane.
I know it is.
Holy cow.
And they even said like his time of birth and all everything. And it recorded it. And you know how I know this? Because next they ended up having to take both of us to the hospital because I was hemorrhaging, and I won't go into the gory details, but they tried to like get my placenta to detach in the birthing center. And I'll just say that was actually the most pain I ever felt, because they were trying to go back in manually. And again, I'm not on an epidural.
No.
There's no
Nope.
pain management here. And so I remember when they were trying to do that, I looked at her and I said, no, you're going to bring me to the hospital? God's like, yeah, like, take care of yourself, friends.
Literally.
If you don't need to go through pain that's unnecessary, like, take care of yourself, my friends, right? So I remember looking at her and I'm like, no, like, I need to go under some sort of anesthesia for you to retrieve that. You cannot go back up there unmedicated.
And thank God you were in the right state of mind to share that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were like present. You had
I was
come
like,
back
I'm
into
taking care of myself. Like, that was the most pain. That was way more painful than any part of the birth ever was. Like, not okay. And I looked at her and she was like, I was just trying to help you. I'm so sorry. And I said, I know, but I'm telling you right now, like, call the ambulance. Like, I need to, like, and they ended up having to do a D&C on me, which is normally what they do with like an abortion, where they scrape out your uterus and take everything out. Cause like, that's why I was bleeding out. Cause like the placenta wouldn't detach. I didn't know any of this stuff until after the fact. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All I knew is that I keep bleeding, and then they informed me of that. And I was like, oh, didn't even know. Like,
yeah.
I just want to make sure my baby's okay. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
And so,
gosh.
long story short, because this is all leading up to the song, and you'll hear it in the song.
Yeah.
That's why these little details matter. But so I remember when the ambulance came to take me away, that is when I saw August. I looked over and I saw that his color had returned. He turned from purple to red to pink. And I remember leaving, and they had gotten him. I remember asking the nurses, like, is he okay? And they said, he's stable now. So leave and take care of yourself, because we need you here, Mom. Because they were actually more concerned about me, because honestly, I had lost, I ended up losing 33% of my blood. And like, if you lose more than that, like, you die. So
No, yeah, not good.
So they were more concerned about me. They're like, go take care of yourself, and we've got him stable here, and he's alive. So again, that's a surrender, leaving your baby without
newborn child.
I never even held him,
No.
when he was breathing. So
yeah.
Would love to do that someday. So anyway, I go in the ambulance, and that's when I was given my phone. I'm in the ambulance, and by the way, you guys, I am fully naked, blood all over me from being handed a baby, and also just bleeding out. And there's like 3 male ambulance EMTs like wheeling me away, and I'm just like, hey, just gave birth, no problems here.
Blood everywhere, like
I'm just
full on surrender.
And it's, again, it's like these were like Jesus vibes, because I was wrapped in like a white cloth with blood all over me. And I'm just like, I'm still here. I surrender. I surrender. And so I get in the ambulance. They're shutting the doors. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when I got my phone back and I saw all these messages. Congratulations, congratulations. Oh, what a healthy baby boy. His cry is so beautiful. That's how I figured out that my Voxer
Oh
had
my
like recorded
God.
it. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm in an ambulance. Keep your prayers up. Like, gotta go make sure I stop bleeding out now. Love you.
Oh my God. Just, yeah, just, oh, just casually. Just
Just
casually.
casual. And so then I get to the place and they told me, they're like, you're bleeding out so fast that like we kind of have to go into
Oh my
surgery
God.
right now. We don't have time to put you under general anesthesia, but what we can do, this is the funny part. They said what we can do and what we'll have to do is give you a spinal epidural. And so
How
yeah,
ironic.
I'm fucking like just laughing my ass off because I had done everything I could to not have a spinal epidural. I wanted the most natural, holistic birth I could have. But talk about plans go out the window.
Yep. Yep. God was like, you need to experience it. Sorry. Your
Like
soul signed up for it.
they're like, you're gonna need to experience. God's like, you're gonna experience a spinal, and you're not gonna judge any women for it if that's what they want. And I remember being humbled in that moment, and I was like, yeah, any way someone wants to birth that feels safest for their nervous system, I welcome it.
Yeah.
You know, you do you, boo. And so I got the epidural. Now this time without a baby in me, which is so funny. That's the irony of it
No,
all,
yeah.
right?
Absolute, absolute. And it always happens in that way, right? Right? Like we were talking about
Yeah,
earlier, completely different story about the 3 million
yeah,
just like
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Seriously. And then I remember they gave me the epidural and then they immediately like put me into the emergency room. And by the way, I'm alone at this point. I took that
Yeah.
ambulance alone. Igor stayed with the baby. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm alone, right? So
Oh.
trusting these random men that now they're going to take care of me because I was in this like midwife coven before.
Yep.
And I'm just trusting. At this point, I am an expert in surrender, right? So then, before he goes, oh, but before we wheel you away, we need you to sign off on all these things. So I had to sign off. Let me tell you, I had to sign off on if the DNC doesn't go according to plan, I could lose my uterus and there would have to be a hysterectomy. I had to sign off on that. Also, if the DNC, if they scrape too much or whatever, that I may never have children again, even if I do keep my uterus. Had to sign off on that.
Oh my
And you
lord.
guys, I am just like, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender.
Like whatever
Then,
in this moment. Yeah.
yeah, then it's just the irony of it all. Then they said, I'm going to have multiple blood transfusions, most likely. So I had to sign off on the blood transfusion, which if you've ever done that, you have to sign a form
Mm-hmm.
saying this could have HIV in it.
Yep.
And I could get that, right? I'm just surrender. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. And I'm just surrendering it all. At this point, it's laughable. I was literally in a state of like laughter.
Loving. Oh my god.
Then they wheel me into this operating room. And I kid you not, they strap my hands down on the table. And I felt like I was like,
I was
on
wondering what that lyric was from. 'Cause,
yeah,
yeah, you talk about it. Yeah.
yeah, because the lyric of the first lyric is see
Uh-huh.
me strapped down to a table wearing nothing but my name.
Yep.
That I was wearing my hospital bracelet that said my name, but I was still naked. Like I mean, I had the hospital gown on, but like wearing nothing but my name, and I was strapped down, like arms like this. Like if this
Jesus.
isn't full surrender,
Yeah, literally
if
cross.
this isn't full surrender, what
Yep.
is, right?
Oh my lord.
And I remember like the person who had given me the spinal, they have to like stand there to make sure you're okay. And he was like making small talk with me and he's like, so like I heard you just gave birth. And I was like, yup, just a few minutes ago. Like he's like, how's your baby?
Medical.
I was like, don't know. I mean, they said he's stabilized, so I'm hoping for the best.
Oh my god. Like that's like such a comedic moment though. Like
Yeah,
what
it
the
really was.
hell?
And then the lights were so bright. I just remember the
Yeah.
blaring lights, right? And that's why a lyric in the song,
Yep.
I surrender, bright light shining in my face, right? I surrender, you can take it all away. And so like the words, you can take it all away are literally like, you could take my uterus away, you could take my baby away, you could take my the safety of my blood away. Like, you could take it all away, right? But you got to have faith, and you got to trust in the amazing grace. So anyway, all of that to say, the surgery went well. They scraped out. It sounds so ugh, because it is, but
Yeah.
I was, thank God, under anesthesia this time. I mean, I had the epidural, so I couldn't feel it this time.
Yeah.
They got my, they got my placenta out. And very sadly, I was sad about that because part of my birth plan was to keep my placenta, because a lot of people in
Women
the
eat it.
holistic world, we encapsulate it, and then it helps you with your postpartum hormones.
Yep.
So that's another story for another day, but like, I really had wanted to keep that. And so the loss of my placenta and it coming out in pieces and them having to discard it, like, broke my heart, but I surrender.
Yep.
And so the surgery went well. They said it looked good. I was going to be able to have another baby. So, like, thank you, God. And then I remember it was hours. I was in the recovery room until Igor got to come to the hospital, because this was like a whole transport situation from the birthing center.
Well, and then COVID, trying to get people in.
Yeah, COVID
like,
too,
no
right?
way. Yeah.
This is all at the height of COVID, right? So add that to, like,
Insane.
add that spice. And I remember him coming in, and we just wept together. We just wept. We wept. And, like, I will always cherish that moment, because I really felt like the depth of his love for me and for our child. And, there's that little girl inside of me that's always like, do you care about me? Do you love me? In that moment, it got soothed. And, like, we just wept together because we just went through such an intense, traumatic experience,
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, he was right there the whole time. He was holding me. He was behind me, holding me on a birthing ball while I gave birth. So, like, he was there the whole time too.
Yeah.
And I just can't even imagine how traumatic it is for a man to not have any control over it,
Yeah. Cannot imagine.
Yeah. So, all of that to be said, I got to see him. We wept. We processed it in the moment. And then that night, we got to go see August for the first time.
Oh.
And he was in the NICU because, there was a lot of stuff they had to check up on. And the first time we saw him, like, fully breathing, he had a little turban on, like, wrapped around his head, because they had, they were doing the EEGs and the EKG, like, they were doing all sorts of tests on him. And it looked like he had this, like, little spiritual turban on. It was so cute. I know it wasn't meant to be spiritual, but in my mind, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, here's my little spirit baby. He came in. It was a rough ride. He knew it was gonna be a rough ride. That's why he was scared to come down. My sweet baby.
Oh. And in hindsight too, that makes so much sense. If he could feel that this was the experience that your soul had maybe needed,
contracted,
had contracted, that makes total sense as to why he would be so scared to experience it. Oh my gosh. And then too, with the fear of losing connection to God, if he knew he was supposed to be basically dead for 8 moments.
I know.
8 minutes.
I know.
That's
and
wild.
just coming through the birthing portal and being squished for so long, because that portal, like, squishes everything.
Yeah.
That causes amnesia too.
Yeah.
So it's like, that he knew. I feel like he knew what kind of ride he was in for. But we had both contracted each other.
Yep.
I was like, okay, you're my baby. And he's like, okay, you're my mom, And we had that experience that still to this day has bonded us, because we've been through so much together. But we always overcome. We always get through it. And so through this experience, and again, he was in the NICU for 7 days. They had to make him a zombie for 3 days. They froze his body. So, like, they brought his body temperature down to, like, it was 33.3 Celsius. So I don't even know what that equals in Fahrenheit, but it's lower. But it's 333 again. It was so weird.
Yeah, what?
For 72 hours, they brought his body temperature down to hopefully restore his brain and for him not to have brain damage, because he wasn't breathing for so long. So that was weird. I'm like, okay.
I didn't even know they could do that.
I know, me neither. So he was in a cold pack, and they found out he was allergic to morphine, because they tried to give him morphine to, like, because it's very painful to be cold for so long.
Oh, yeah.
And then his heart stopped again, which we found out. So then they are like, okay, he can't have morphine. So this poor baby went through being cold for 3 days with no pain management. My heart breaks for him, in
Do you?
all that he's gone through. He is so resilient, triple
Yeah.
Taurus, so
Yeah.
resilient. And I remember on the fourth, it was like on the third day he rose again. And then on the
Literally.
fourth day, I got to breastfeed him for the first time, which
Oh,
also was my desire to breastfeed. And like all that
yeah.
stuff got messed up, but it was all part of the surrender.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I got to eventually about 2 months in, I went to exclusively breastfeed him. But at first it was really rocky because like I wasn't making the milk that normally comes in right when you latch, right? So, and my experience with Aiden was so different. Aiden was like, he was plucked out by the C-section and like immediately attached, and like we've
Oh
been
no.
attached ever since. So it's so interesting to have these two different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But August, yeah, he came out of the NICU 7 days later, and then I
Wow.
went home, and COVID was happening still, and just got to
Yeah.
be in a home with him and just, you know, get used to new motherhood, which was, I won't say it was easy, but it was a journey. But what I did do is I went into the recording studio and I recorded a
Mm-hmm.
song about the experience, and that's called I Surrender. So now you have the backstory to it.
We have the full story, and I'm so happy to hear all of the details because lyrics like even as a songwriter myself, like it's those little details that you want people to know to get the full picture. So I'm grateful to now hold this, and I'm grateful that the
Yeah.
listeners can now get the full scope and relate. Like, oh my God, that's what this
Yeah.
was too,
Yeah.
and vice versa. And
Yeah.
what
And the
an
second verse,
experience!
I want to give this Easter egg because I feel like no one's figured it out yet. But the second verse of the song is, oh, look who we have. Hell, this is August himself. August, can you say hi?
Hi,
Oh,
August.
Mommy's
What's
recording a
up?
podcast right now, and I was actually talking about our birth story together when you were born. Do you remember being born?
Cute little mommy here.
Oh, little mommy a hair. Is Grandma downstairs, my love?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you go back down with Grandma? So Mama's gonna sing for everyone.
Oh, yes, what beautiful timing. Oh my gosh.
I know. He's like, hello, hello.
Hi, heard you talking about me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, my love. Hold on. I'm gonna reclose the door, you guys.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
so beautiful.
He was like, hello. He needed to make an appearance. I mean,
Had to.
that's
I
part
mean,
of
this
it.
whole episode is about him. Yes.
Yeah. And his birthday was yesterday.
Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, so the second verse, an Easter
Mhm.
egg was like the second verse is about me getting in my head. So when you listen to those lyrics, it's like those moments of the giving birth process, and like how you can, just a reminder to how all of us, we can shut down God's creation. We can shut down the natural process and flow of life when we get into our heads. And so it's always reminding us to like let the clouds pass, remember the
Yeah.
sun, get back into our body, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so
So
beautiful. I can't wait to hear you sing.
yes.
And
Okay.
thank you for sharing that beautiful
Yeah.
and so vulnerable experience. I mean, this is what the podcast is for, right? To come
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
share these beautiful stories, because I'm sure there's so many women listening right now that have similar stories, and even women that are about to go into that hear like, oh, I have the choice. Or
Yes.
no matter what happens, surrender.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we can learn so much from sharing our stories. So thank you
Yeah.
for this beautiful, just
And
vulnerability.
I also just want to share that there's a lot of us out there that are either shamed or suppressed, or we're told not to share these stories because maybe they're too traumatic or too much for other people. And to that I say, your story is worthy of being shared and heard. You are worthy of being shared and heard. Your lived experience is worthy of being heard. And so that's just to say, I just know that a lot of society, when women go through a traumatic experience, whether it's birthing or something else, we're told to just, it's okay, at least you have a healthy baby. Like, you should focus on your baby right now.
Yeah.
And remember, it's not this or this, it's this and this. I'm grateful my baby is healthy. And I had a very traumatic experience, and it's worthy of being heard and processed.
Yes.
And again, processing it with people, of course, consent. Like this podcast, essentially, I hope that if you were listening and you weren't able to take that in, you turned it off. Like, take care of yourself. But also, I'm grateful to have people in my life that were like, we want to hear your story, Jourdan. Like, share your story with us, because
Yeah.
there's healing. There's healing in that. And
Yes.
just being a divine witness for someone else's story.
I mean, I was receiving it. Like,
Well,
that's
thank
why I had
you.
to say, yeah, that I was, all those yawns, I was like, oh, I am so receiving. And yawns can often be seen as negative, but like, no, like, I was integrating so
I see
much
yawns as
through that.
positive. I see
Yeah,
yawns as
me
like,
too.
yeah, energy,
Recalibration and
release, recalibration. Yeah, all of it.
learning. Yeah, no, I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time. I'm
I
so
love it.
grateful. Yeah, yeah. Can't wait to
Well,
hear your voice.
all right,
Yes.
we'll sing, and yeah, this is called "Oh, He Brought Me a Heart," you guys. He
Did
brought me
he?
a heart.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Oh, look at your thing. Just you brought me a heart. Oh, that's the other thing
Oh,
about August. He is obsessed with hearts. He finds all the crystals
oh,
in my room here, and he brings me the heart ones. And when he was a baby, before he could talk, he called him Mare. He said,
yeah.
Mare, Mare, Mare. And I looked up
Interesting.
MER, and it's a part of like Merkaba, which means light. So he's saying light. Like he's so smart.
So woke as a little
Yeah.
baby. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Anyway, he brought me a heart.
Oh,
There we
yeah.
go.
Wear it on your
I'll wear it
chest.
right here while
Oh,
I sing. Okay.
so precious.
So this is called I Surrender, and I'm just gonna sing it live and human and
Yes.
messy, but you can listen
Yes.
to it on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube as well, with an exciting update that next month there's going to be a new release of I Surrender, a live raw acoustic version of it,
Oh,
where
yes.
I actually reenact those 8 minutes in that song.
Oh my God.
So you're gonna have to hear, now that you've heard the whole story, make sure
Yes.
you follow me on Spotify or follow me
Oh my
wherever so
gosh.
you get updated when that song comes out. 'Cause it's
Send
gonna
me that
be,
link so I can
yes,
put it on this. Yes.
yes,
Oh,
it's gonna be
that's
wild.
incredible.
So I'll give you a little snippet here.
Yes, yes.
I'll just sing it live, real and raw. We'll do it. And so
Yes.
before I sing though, taking into account my own personal story, which you'll hear through the words, I also just want to invite you, Marissa, and also all the listeners. I want to invite you to like take something to your heart. What are you being called to surrender right now in this season of your life? Whether it's an ideology that no longer serves you, whether it's a person, whether it's a new career that you're needing to surrender all the fears to, right? Like, just what are you being called to surrender in
Thank you.
this season of your life? And I just invite you to hold that close to your heart while I'm singing it.
Yes. Thank you for this invitation.
Mhm. Mm. See me strapped down to a table wearing nothing but my name. I might bleed out. This can't be the ending of my story, not today. Just breathe, it'll be okay. Dear God, I'm so afraid. I know that it's all in faith, the unease of amazing grace. I surrender. Bright light shining in my face, I surrender. Ooh, you can take it all away. I surrender. Ooh, let go. I gotta have faith. I surrender. Ooh, to survive, I know that I surrender. Oh, 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 oh,
Oh,
oh,
oh,
oh.
oh.
The chaos, the climax, the story's untold. How far deep does this thing go? Can I peel back the layers that kept me from being me? Or is this all a dream? What if I lose it all? If so, I'm ready for the fall. I know that I'll be okay. The unease of amazing grace. I surrender. Bright light shining in my face. I surrender. Ooh, you can take it all away. I surrender. Ooh, let go. I gotta have faith. thrive, I know that I surrender. Here's the birth part.
Yes.
Out of body, I know what it truly means to be alive. Lifelong journey, there's no hurry. You and I were meant to fly. I surrender. Bright light shining in my face. I surrender. Ooh, you can take it all away. I surrender. Ooh, let go. I gotta have faith. I surrender. Ooh, to survive, I know that I surrender. To thrive, I know that I surrender. You and I know that I surrender. I love you, August.
Oh my gosh. Oh, your raw voice is like pure magic and glitter like running through the ether. Oh,
Thank you.
wow. Wow, wow, wow.
He
Oh
brought
my
his
gosh.
vibes. He brought his vibes
Yes,
into the heart.
He was like, I know she's about to sing a song about our experience, so gotta go sing
Yeah.
good vibes. Oh.
Did you hear what he said too? He said, "Cute mommy, a little hair," and he ran away.
I did hear that.
He calls him my little hair.
It's so cute though.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, it's such a magical and very catchy song. Like such a good hook,
you.
such a good bridge. Like, oh, I
Thank
love
you.
it. Please
Thank
go
you.
listen to that on Spotify and on YouTube and look forward
Yeah.
to this new acoustic version coming out. I cannot
Oh my
wait.
gosh. Yeah, and a few other Easter eggs to the version that's out now.
Mhm.
So the beat in the background is actually August's heartbeat. So we recorded his heartbeat because we brought him into the studio. So the beat, and then we also used beats from like the hospital, like the beep, beep,
Yeah.
beep, beep. So you can kind of hear that. And then at the end, when I'm
Wow.
trailing out, you can hear August. Like I brought him into the studio and he was cooing, like, because I recorded it when he was like 2.5 months after
Yeah.
born, right? I wanted to commemorate the experience. And he was like 2.5-month-old baby coos in the background. So you'll hear that at the end too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love how it's sprinkled with intention. So much
Yeah.
intention. And you talked about that in the last episode, living life
Yeah.
with intention and with just using every moment as inspiration for creativity. All of it is
Yeah.
available and equal and to be celebrated.
Yeah. Our life is a living, moving prayer. So how can we make the best of it? How can we, look back and say, wow, I fully lived.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what a beautiful way to kind of wrap up this episode.
Yeah, we had an eventful day today.
Yeah, all over, but right? That's just how life moves, and we get to flow with it. We get to surrender to what unfolds, and I
Yeah.
trust in it all.
I know. We'll have to do more podcasts because I know we didn't get to the money part at all. I wanted to share a lot on that, but
No, yeah.
we'll do another.
Yeah. Just
If you'll
look
have me.
forward for monthly episodes, y'all. Just each month, Jordan and I will sit down and share some wisdom.
Yes. Oh, it's an honor. You're so beautiful, and I love just
Thank you.
our connection and how we were so divinely brought together. Just so in gratitude and awe of you and your powerful light and space holding and wisdom that you bring.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. Oh, magical. Well, Jordan, go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you and keep up to date.
Yes. You guys, my name is Jourdan Rystrom. I'm sure it's written on the podcast that you're listening to right now or down here. So Google my name, pop this name into Instagram, find me on there. TikTok, I'm Awake in the Glow, but also if you search my name, I should probably come up. Facebook, I'm on Facebook under Jourdan Rystrom. Spotify, I'm under Spotify on Jourdan Rystrom. Apple Music, YouTube, whatever you listen to, like you can find me just by searching my name. I would love to connect with you. I love hearing receiving DMs of like your aha moments, your distinctions. If you listen to this podcast, please reach out, let me know, let Marissa know, leave a comment below. We love to hear back from you. You know, we're continuously pouring out, and as creatives, and you know, we're just here to share with you, and we also love to receive your feedback. And if you're there, like, let us know, drop us a line. It means a lot to us, and it keeps us, you know, creating more content for you moving forward.
Absolutely.
Right? Or I'm speaking for you, but does that
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Any and all questions. I actually am starting to answer collective questions over on my YouTube channel. So if you have questions, whether it's about this or really anything in the collective or themes or patterns, energies, you know, just ask it over there, and I will bring it forward in the YouTube video, but also in this space as well, if it's pertaining to this conversation and our last episode conversation. And if you haven't, like I said, go check that episode out.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yes. And then moving forward, I think we're going to talk about past life regression, because Jourdan is a past life regression hypnotherapist. So we are going to be diving into that here soon, which I'm so excited about, and even potentially having someone that wrote a book with you in it. About her own past life regression experience. So we might have Mary on.
It's gonna be beautiful.
That would be amazing.
And I love that I got a chance to get a little bit into the hypnotherapy and like the subconscious today. So I feel like that's a good because as a hypnotherapist, you know, past life regression is one aspect of it, but there's so much to learn about the subconscious mind and how it works, and I'm such a nerd about all that stuff, so like we can geek out on all that. So bring all your questions about hypnotherapy and the inner workings of our subconscious and our superconscious mind. Like, I'm here to bring all that to the table, and it's gonna be super fun. Absolutely. And like you mentioned, if you guys want to work with me or experience any of my work, my work right now in one-on-one is in a deep mentorship container. So like 4 or 6 month mentorships is really what I'm offering right now. If you want to do one-on-one work, or I do also offer a one-off past life regression, but that's a 5-hour like full day session. So it's an investment, but it will change your life. All that stuff's on my website. So I'll have Marissa link my Healing Awaken the Glow website, so you can check out all my offerings and apply to work with me if you feel called to work together. But definitely connect musically and on socials either way, so that we can stay connected and in touch.
All the way. Yes.
Yeah.
And then y'all already know where to find me if you listen. Links are down below, Instagram, or to Marissa on everything. And thank you again just for your vulnerability and your light. So many activations today. And thank you everyone for listening and loving, and just surrender.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye for now.